I have a confession. Last week, our power went out for about 2 hours. 2 hours. Not 2 days, not 2 weeks, 2 hours. And there we were suddenly looking for solar chargers like we were preparing for the end of civilization. I found myself thinking, oh no, no Wi Fi, what am I going to do? And then I had to stop and laugh at myself because I thought, wait a minute, I grew up with power cuts. I've lived without running water. I've had to drive around neighborhoods looking for the water truck, hoping I could convince them to come and fill the water tank at my house. That was years ago. And now here I am, slightly panicking because the Wi Fi is down for 2 hours. Talk about becoming attached to convenience. It made me laugh because I joke with my friends that sometimes about what I called first world issues. You know the ones. The latte is not quite right, the Wi Fi is slow, the phone battery is at 4%, the delivery is late, the grocery store has everything except the thing you went in for. And suddenly it feels like life has personally betrayed us. Now, before anyone gets upset, I'm not saying these things are not annoying. They are annoying. I also enjoy my Wi Fi, my coffee being made the way I like it. I enjoy lights turning on when I flip the switch. I enjoy not having to wonder if water is going to come out of the tap. Comfort is lovely, convenience is lovely, and I'm grateful for both. Sometimes, though, I think comfort can make us a little forgetful. We forget how capable we are. We forget what we have already lived through. We forget that a delay, an inconvenience, or a small disruption is not always a crisis. And I say this as someone who forgot very quickly when that Wi Fi went out. There's something funny about how fast the nervous system adapts to a new normal. At one point in my life, power cuts were just part of life. No running water was something you learned to work around. You stored water. You planned differently. You became resourceful because you had to. But now the internet disappears for 2 hours and I'm looking around like, oh my gosh, how will I survive this? The truth is, I survived it very well. I just had to sit still for a bit, which may have been the real problem. Sometimes the issue is not really the power going out. Sometimes the issue is that we're so used to being distracted, connected, entertained, and reachable that when everything goes quiet, we don't quite know what to do with ourselves. Maybe that is part worth noticing, not judging, just noticing. Because I think many of us, especially as women over 45, have lived through enough to know that we are not fragile. We have handled family changes, we have handled loss, we have handled health challenges, we have handled children growing up, moving away, relationships shifting, bodies changing, identities changing, and whole chapters of life closing without warning. We have adapted again and again. So when a small thing sends us over the edge, maybe the question is not, what's wrong with me? Maybe the question is, Am I actually upset about this small thing, or am I tired, overstimulated, and needing a pause? Sometimes it's not about the latte. The latte is just the final straw. Sometimes it's not about the Wi Fi, but the Wi Fi going out simply reveals how much we've been relying on noise to avoid stillness sometimes. It's not about the phone battery dying. It could be that we've become so used to being available to everyone all the time that being disconnected feels strange. And that is where I had to laugh at myself because when the power went out, part of me reacted as though I'd been cut off from civilization. But another part of me thought, maybe this is an invitation to sit down, a reminder that I do need not to be connected with every single second. Maybe this is a reminder that I have lived with much less and still found ways to laugh, manage, cook, connect, and carry on. And maybe I've become a little too dependent on the comforts I once lived without. Does that mean we need to give them up? Absolutely not. Please do not misunderstand me. I am not about to voluntarily live without Wi Fi or giving up hot water, but I do think it's healthy to laugh at ourselves once in a while because laughter gives us perspective. It reminds us, okay, this is annoying, but it's not the end of the world. It softens the reaction. It gives the body a little space to breathe and helps us come back to ourselves. I think that is something we need more of, not more shame or more guilt, not another reason to criticize ourselves, just a moment of honest laughter, a moment where we can say, look at me acting like this slow internet is a personal attack. And then we can ask with a little smile, is this a real problem or is my comfort throwing a tantrum? I love that question. Is this a real problem or is my comfort throwing a tantrum? Because sometimes it's a real problem, but other times it's just our nervous system being a little spoilt by ease. And that doesn't make us bad, it makes us human. We adapt to what is around us, we get used to what is available, and then we forget that we once lived differently. However, midlife has a way of inviting us back into perspective. It asks us what really matters. It asks us, where are we giving too much energy to things that do not serve us or deserve us? It asks us, where are we creating stress out of habit? It asks us, where have we become so attached to comfort that a small inconvenience feels like a crisis? Sometimes the answer is not deep inner work. The answer is simply to laugh, make yourself a cup of tea if the kettle works, and remember who we are. We are women who have lived. We have handled far more than a bad latte or a slow internet connection. We have survived chapters we do not always talk about. We have built ourselves more than once. We have figured out things with far less information, far less support, and far fewer apps. Next time something goes wrong, something small goes wrong, maybe pause for a moment. Take a breath and ask yourself, Is this really a crisis? And if it's not, let yourself laugh. Not because your frustration is wrong, but because laughter can bring you back to proportion. It can remind you, I'm okay. This is inconvenient, but I'm okay. Who knows? Maybe the Wi Fi going out is not the disaster we think it is. Maybe it's a tiny invitation to slow down, to look around, to talk to the person sitting next to us, to sit with ourselves for a few minutes, or if you're like me, to panic for a few moments, search for the solar charger, realize what you're doing, and then just laugh at yourself. Because sometimes not being perfectly calm, just noticing the moment, laughing with ourselves, and remembering that we are much more resilient than a 2 hour power cut. If this made you smile, I would love to know your version of this. What is the small inconvenience that makes you more dramatic than you care to admit? Is it slow Wi Fi? A wrong coffee order? Your package not arriving on time? The grocery store being out of your favorite thing? Share it in the comments because I think we all need a little laugh at ourselves now and then. And maybe the next time the power goes out, we can all remember we have survived worse, much worse. I hope everything in your day goes well and makes you happy. From my heart to yours, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.